You do this all the time.
Oh,
So.
Hi, I'm Kim Izzarelli, and welcome to Insights with Kim Izzarelli. In 1998, Mary Beth Murphy was elected supervisor in the town of Somers. Today, in her 8th term, and under Mary Beth's leadership, Somers' municipal property tax rate remains the lowest in Westchester County. That's something to brag about. And recently, she decided to seek higher office and is running for Westchester County Clerk. A Westchester native and raised in Yonkers, New York, Mary Beth attended Syracuse University and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Geology. She subsequently attended Fordham University School of Law, graduating with a JD and practicing law for 15 years, primarily as a commercial litigator. As Somers Town Supervisor, she's responsible for the town's annual budget, capital project oversight, policy and ordinance formulation implementation, personnel management, and constituent communication. It's a full list. Mary Beth, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So why did you decide to seek higher office?
Well, I had given it quite a bit of thought. I actually had been considering it for several months, and then I think probably one of the precipitous, convincing events that occurred was the release by the current county clerk of the names and addresses of all of the pistol permit holders in Westchester County. Not only do I think that it put the pistol permit holders' safety in jeopardy, but I think it also put all of those people out there who are not pistol permit holders' safety in jeopardy, because they're identified as not having you know, their own protection. So I just it was such a mistake in terms of judgment and decision making, and I believe that it was something that just should not have been done. The county clerk doesn't have a lot of policy decision-making responsibility in their job, but I think that as an elected official, all of us have to remember that the actions that we take have a direct impact on the people that we represent, and we need to make sure that our actions are thoughtful, and we need to you know, remember the end result and who's going to be affected by that in the long run.
Well, I'm glad that you jumped right into the that situation, but I think I just want to take a step back first, just for our audience, and just explain what a county clerk does exactly. What is the role of a Westchester County Clerk? I actually went online yesterday and looked at the website, and I was really sort of humored when I saw they have every single Westchester County Clerk listed back from 1684. that they kept the list that long is really amazing. But what is the role of a Westchester County Clerk?
The role of the county clerk is essentially to maintain land use records of the county, also certain permitting and licensing responsibilities, and also the clerk of the court. Those are the kind of 3 primary segment areas I think that we can identify. It is in large part, you know, keeping, you know, tracking things, making sure that business transacts in a smooth and efficient manner for lawyers, title company representatives, folks like that other people, passports, I mean, you know, plumbing permits, things that, you know, that you need to process through the office. And then, of course, maintaining the records is a very critical component of the job. And, of course, with that comes a budgeting responsibility, responsibility for managing your staff, things that, as a supervisor, you become very they become a very big part of your day-to-day responsibilities as a local supervisor. In my role as Somers supervisor, I don't have an administrator, so I myself administer all of the business of the town. It's a position that's not just a kind of figurehead or not just figurehead, but that my role as supervisor also requires me to run the day-to-day business of the town. I don't have somebody that I can pass those responsibilities on to.
I was really kind of shocked looking at that website, and I shouldn't be, but I was, how much information was on there about me. There's a lot of places to go through and query, and I guess that sort of leads me to the fact that the government does have a lot of personal information about people. If you've gone through a divorce or you've refinanced your home several times, maybe the details aren't on the website, but there is quite a bit of information that is accessible right there. So I think the timeliness of this race and your issue is rather important, because I guess I want to know who decides if any of that information about an individual is shared. How does that happen procedurally?
That's a very, very important question and issue to look at. The county clerk does have the discretion with regard to the release of personal and private information. The clerk can withhold that information on the grounds that it would create a safety issue or privacy issue, and could have withheld the pistol permit information on that basis. As you know, county clerk in an adjoining county did withhold the information, and as recently as about a month or two ago, there was a court decision with regard to the withholding of similar information in New York City, and that was upheld by the appellate division. So, and this is kind of where I really think that my method of governing and how I've acted and as supervisor in the town of Somers really is what we need in the Westchester County Clerk. I'm very close to the people that I represent. I have a very open access. People call me anytime, day or night. They walk into my office. I have close communication with my constituents, and I think that that's important, because I think that with that you don't forget who you represent, and sometimes you can become so bureaucratic in your actions that you forget the fact that the things that you do are affecting real people's lives.
That's right.
And you always have to keep that connection. And I also think I worked in the private sector for 15 years. I'm an attorney. And those years of work and responsibility, I think, are also a positive thing for somebody that's in government or representing people in government, because it grounds you to all those hundreds of thousands of people that you represent who are not working for government or are not in government, and you have a better understanding of people's day-to-day lives who don't work for government. So, having had the administrative background of being supervisor of the town of Somers, combined with my legal background as well as private sector experience, I think is kind of the right combination for staying in touch with the constituency, which is critical for any elected official.
Good. And tell us some more about the way that the office of the clerk operates, and any efficiencies or things that you'd like to bring to that office, or maybe in staffing or technology or accessibility. Where do you think there's room for improvement there?
There's always room for improvement in every office of government. I think that for one example I can bring is the Favor program. That's a program that is administered in 40 counties in this state through the county clerk's office, and in Westchester it is not administered through the county clerk's office. It's a program which provides veterans with a card that gives them discounts and things like that in local businesses that participate in the program. And I think that's a perfect example of what should be run through the county clerk's office, because the county clerk's office is where veterans file their discharge papers. It's, you know, where they have to go anyway. So the synergy is really there, and the ability for you know, the county clerk to promote that kind of a program is I think really it's an opportunity that should be explored, and it really, you know, it's being done through the county parks department, but it's better served in the county clerk's office. It will better serve veterans in the county clerk's office because they're coming there anyway. So I think that that's, you know, one example. I also think that there can be a lot more synergy between the county clerk's office and our local assessor's offices. I don't know that there's been any real, you know, reach out there, but I think that there's a real opportunity for us to look where we can find synergies and, you know, reduce redundancies, reduce waste, and that sort of thing. I've been, as a supervisor, very, very involved in regional initiatives with, you know, on issues ranging from stormwater to paramedic service to drinking water. And those initiatives, in some instances, we've combined with 3 jurisdictions to deliver a more efficient and effective service. In some instances, we've combined with 19 jurisdictions.
Wow.
And it's a way of delivering service to your constituents more efficiently and effectively. And that's what we have to look at. We need to look at all levels of government, how we can do what we need to do better, cheaper, and more efficiently and effectively.
Well, you have quite a success story to tell in Somers. What are some of the, you know, how have you been able to just keep taxes low in Somers? I really want to hear more about that.
It's a multifaceted approach. The first thing that we do is that in terms of personnel, we really try to keep our staffing at the minimum. You know, we don't beef up our staff.
Right.
Everybody works. There's no dead wood in Somers because there's no room for dead wood. If you've got 2 people in the office, they both better be working. Otherwise, right, nothing is going to get done. And I think that in Somers we have the support of our other elected officials. And one of the things that I think would be important with regard to the county clerk's race is that I think that county government is looking to streamline their efforts, and you need support at all different levels of government to accomplish that. So in Somers, I would think the first thing is, you know, our staffing. We look very hard at that. We also have looked to regionalize a number of different things. As I mentioned before, this is probably going back 8 or 9 years, we needed a paramedic service to facilitate our volunteer fire department's efforts with BLS service. And to bring on a paramedic service independently for the town of Somers would have cost us, you know, probably close to $1 million. So what we did is we reached out to our neighboring communities, and we got 8 communities together, and we all joined forces, and we share a paramedic service, fly car that serves the entire region, 3 fly cars actually. And so it's a great way to deliver a necessary service at a cost that's manageable for the town. I will say also in Somers, we have a lot of volunteerism. We engage our public, and they're very engaged in government in the town, and so they're very involved. I was successful in orchestrating the acquisition of a 654 acre parcel of open space in the town. I believe it's the largest open space acquisition in Westchester County ever. Wow. And that was accomplished by marshaling resources from the county, from the New York State, and also from New York City DEP in conjunction with the town, and working closely with the Westchester Land Trust to get that accomplished. And the way the marshaling of all those different levels of government and resources of government to acquire the property was a feat in and of itself. But since then, we've formed the Friends of the Anglefly Preserve, and a small grant was obtained by my office. But with that grant, volunteers have built a trail system throughout the preserve that is really it's extraordinary, and that effort was accomplished really with volunteers, just about solely. So I think there's a number of different ways that you have to look. You have to look at the resources that are available to you, and then you have to find a way to make those work in the most efficient and effective manner possible. And you've got to do that by collaborating with other levels of government, with other agencies within your own government, with sometimes you have to rethink how something is being done. That there's just a better way to do it, especially with the technology that we have today. I often joke that when I first took office in Somers, I had an appointment book on my desk, and every time my secretary wanted to make an appointment for me, she'd take the book off my desk and she'd bring it back to her desk, and she'd write the appointment in, then she'd bring it back and put it on my desk. And I would say, gee, I already arranged something for that date, and the process would repeat itself. We didn't even have computers that talked to each other at that. Believe it or not, 15 years ago, our computers didn't talk to each other. Today, Somers is totally automated. Everybody's communicating that way, and we have a lot of different software that facilitates all of the things that we do, from signing up for parks and recreation programs to fishing licenses and all kinds of things like that. So we've come a long way in 15 years.
And you have to be open to change. I mean, you have to. It takes a certain temperament, a certain personality to walk in, and it's gradual. It has to happen gradually. It affects people's jobs, but it's a great place to bring technology into the process and show a lot of success there. So, and I think, are there any records that you know of now that are not digital? Like, do you hear lag times for anything right now in the county clerk?
I have spoken to some attorneys that tell me it takes a very long time to get certain documents and things like that. They're either not scanned on, quickly enough, or I'm not exactly sure what the holdup is, frankly, at this point in time, because I haven't, I'm not in the clerk's office and haven't, delved into it that closely. But I have, just in speaking with colleagues and attorneys, understand that there is, there's a backlog to getting certain records that you need.
Right, and I would imagine too, it because all of the towns are participating and communicating, that everyone has to do it for it to work.
Of course, yeah. Well, I think that it's actually required now that that certain things be filed online, which is it's a move in the right direction. I think it's getting it out the other end. That's the problem. It's not so much the input by attorneys and things like that, but the output at the other end that's getting a little bit more difficult.
Good. I'm just wondering, you've been in politics for a while, and certainly observing a lot of what happens. Is there anyone right now that you consider is doing a fabulous job, or a good model that you'd like to look out for? What's sort of your view or take on things right now?
I think that our county executive, Rob Astorino, is doing an absolutely terrific job. I think that he has a tough road to hoe. He gets a lot of opposition from the legislature, and it's difficult. As having been a supervisor for 15 years and served with many different boards, both boards that have been democratically controlled and boards that have been republicanly controlled. Right. I understand what it means to work with other, other constituencies and other people, and I think that the county executive has tried very, very hard to do that, and successfully, thankfully, in the last budget cycle. But the resistance that I see that he sometimes gets for purely political reasons is just it's so counterproductive to good government, and I imagine that for him that can be very frustrating. But I have to say that I admire him because he has stuck to his principles, and he has he committed to streamlining county government, and he continues every day to work in that direction. And I think that that's hard to do often when you get there, because it's you know, your ideals need to be implemented in a kind of, as you pointed out, a slow and methodical fashion. You're not necessarily going to get change overnight, but I do believe that the county executive has every day working towards his goal of streamlining county government, and so I would love to be able to win the county clerk seat and have an ally for him at a, you know, as a essential, what is almost like a department head in some ways, for his efforts to streamline government.
Could you just speak a moment about your opposition and perhaps why you feel you're a stronger candidate?
Sure. Well, my opponent, as I understand it, has been in government his entire life, and you know, as I mentioned before, I think that provides for a little bit of disconnect from the people that you serve, and I think that you need to stay connected to the people that you serve. I think that that's a critical component for any elected official, certainly, but certainly somebody in the county clerk's office, which is such a service-oriented department, really. I mean, it's completely a service-oriented department. So I think that's you know, one reason why I'm a better candidate. I also think because I have a legal background as an attorney, and that I practiced for 15 years, I have an understanding of the court system, and the position of county clerk is also clerk of the court. So I believe I'd be able to bring that asset to the office, which would, you know, be able to work effectively and be able to be more effective in that role. And then finally, I've made a lot of decisions over the last 15 years as supervisor of the town of Somers, and to this day I still am very thoughtful about the decisions that I make. I don't make them quickly. I understand that they do affect the lives of real people, and I hate to see decisions made in a real robotic and bureaucratic fashion, and I believe that the release of the pistol permit name and address holders in Westchester County was a kind of a robotic, bureaucratic action that was simply not thought out, and it wasn't. The current county clerk didn't think about what the impact was going to be on those people who are pistol permit holders and those people who are not. You know, people that have protective orders against them, people who are former corrections officers, people who are police officers and former police officers. These are the people who, you know, they may have put somebody pretty bad in jail.
That's right.
And you know, exposing them to the you know, somebody finding out where they live, where their families live, is it's a serious you know, safety issue. And I think that you can expect from me that decisions that I will make as county clerk will be thoughtfully made out with a consideration as to who will be affected and how will they be affected before something like that would ever happen.
It's a job that really deserves a person with a strong backbone. You know, someone like Dennis Sant, who, you know, the Putnam County Clerk, overnight was in the national news, you know, defending his decision or the county's Putnam County's position, and you've got to be a strong, you know, morally grounded person to do this job.
That's true.
I really admire your time in government, and your relationship to your constituents and how thoughtful you are. Because I think after going on the county clerk's website yesterday and personally seeing how much information that I know is on there about, you know, me, for perfectly, you know, just like a person applying for a fishing license or a pistol permit or any other thing that you would give government information about you, I want to know that there's a person there that I can trust with the record keeping.
That's very true. I did want to add with regard to Dennis Sant, who I think we all have great admiration for the courage that he exhibited there, and that was his decision. It was not a county decision. It was not a decision, just like in Westchester County, the decision that was made by the county clerk to release that information was not a decision of the county government. It was not a decision of the county executive, Rob Astorino. It was a decision of the county clerk. He independently made that decision to release that.
Adoni made that decision himself.
Himself, exactly. It was not a, you know, wasn't a, you know, okay, let's get everybody in a room and decide what we need to do about this. That was his decision to make, and he made that decision, and it was not the county executive who was involved. And sometimes people confuse government. Well, the county, they just think of the county government. They think of the head of the government. But the county clerk, Tim Idoni, is an independently elected official who does not work for the county executive. He's independently elected, and he independently made that decision. So I just wanted to be clear that Dennis Sant was a brave and courageous man who made that decision on his own.
Okay. So just to take us up to date now, I live in Westchester County. I don't have a pistol permit. I'm not a gun owner, although I'm a defender of Second Amendment rights. Where are we in this opt-out program, where it seems all very confusing to me? So what does one need to do?
Forms have been sent to pistol permit holders, and they can fill out the form and send it back to the county clerk's office. It then goes to a judge to review as to whether or not they will grant the exemption, if you will, and then would be processed by the county clerk's
So the exemption then is that the government does not have the right to share your personal information.
You are asking for your information to be withheld, based on whatever reasons you give for that, withholding. Were I the county clerk, you wouldn't need to submit a form in order to keep your name and address private. That information would not be made public.
Okay. Because as we know, and I think the statistics bear this out, that the legal gun owners and people that do apply for pistol permits are the people least likely to commit a crime with a gun. So it's very unfair that these folks are being treated as they are.
I can't agree with you more on that. You've taken people who have followed all the rules, done everything they're supposed to do, and exposed them in to almost like suggesting that there's some wrongdoing there or some moral turpitude. When I mean, let's put a list of everybody that's committed an armed robbery and convicted of armed robbery. Let's put a list of them in the paper and where they live. I mean, to take somebody who's doing the right thing and following the rules that they're supposed to follow and expose them in what appears to be a negative way is just so unjust. It's hard to even, these are people who never expected their private personal names and addresses to be exposed in that way.
Well, Mary Beth, I want to thank you for coming in today. Mary Beth Murphy, the Town of Somers Supervisor, and soon to be our Westchester County Clerk in November. Pleasure having some time to talk and learn more about your thoughts and what you hope to do. Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you, Kim. It's been a pleasure to be here.
We'll see you next week.